Hey guys. So, it's kind of a late night on a Thursday. There's something I have to talk with you guys about. This whole discontinuation of the penny thing. After just reading up on news articles, reading up by people's comments, man, this there might be some pretty big tidal waves of stuff happening if the production of the Lincoln cent goes away. To kind of put the numbers into perspective, this is the kind of like the big reason why that making sense of the discontinuation of the mintage of the cents. It's a really big deal here in the U.S. because we're the largest producer of a 1 cent denomination coin out of every other country out there. No one else makes as much coin as we do. So the mint last year in 2024, we'll use last year's numbers. They produced in totality around 3.2 billion Lincoln cents. Okay, quite a bit. It's not quite a banner year of what they normally do. So the year before they were at like 2.2 billion per mint, which puts it at 4.4 billion total for the mintage. Actually, the number is a little bit higher than that. But 3.2 billion coins, Lincoln cents produced last year. And this perspective-wise, off of last year's numbers, the mint had reported losing. If we were going by the 3.6 cents cost per coin, the mint has lost $85.3 million just by producing the Lincoln cent last year. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. Oh my god, that's a lot. And I know there's a lot of you that are saying, well, they produce Washington quarters, they produce dimes, and those are more profitable. Sure, they are, but they don't produce nearly as many of those particular coins. The Washington quarter in total, I think they do 500 million, both P and D, if I'm not mistaken. Might be more than that. I don't know. Which is the second coin that the U.S. makes as far as like in the hierarchy of like total pieces made. I think the Washington quarter is second, well, which makes sense. People use quarters, vending machines, car washes. I don't need a full blown deal to get you guys to see that, but $85.3 million lost just from the Lincoln cent. Over the course of a number of years, can certainly eat at our country's deficit, or at least slow it down. I don't know if it's I don't even know what the deficit clock is, or that calculator, or however much it is. Me personally, I don't think about it because the mint keeps producing coins. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing keeps printing money. So it's like, sure, it diminishes the overall value of what a dollar is. But that's a staggering sum of money. When you look at the raw figures, $85.3 million is a lot of money. And with that being said, there's been some talk, some chatter, going all the way to the mint. The mint employs right around 1,700 employees. So you got to figure that if producing the Lincoln cent comprises of about 50% of the total production of coin, not just circulating coins, mind you, all coins, from like proof sets to silver eagles and all that stuff. Because if you look at the numbers for silver eagles, they produce, what's the numbers? 20, 30, 40 million of them. The regular bullion ones, we're not talking about proof or, some of the other specialized silver eagles. But you got, when you look at the numbers, it's a lot. What is that going to do to the people that work for the Mint? I mean, honestly, you have to imagine that 1,700 people won't be needed after it's all said and done. I don't know. We are, and the reason why that this is coming up, by the way, sorry to be so jumpy. We're just over 24 hours from kind of realizing what the updated production figures are for the 2025 Lincoln cent. Whatever it is, if it's a lot lower than what they had done in the month of January, then that will let us know that the Treasury Department did, in fact, cease or halt production of the cent. It's my understanding that really it's up to the Secretary of the Treasury to ultimately determine if, the Lincoln cent should go bye-bye. Okay, which, at the head of the whole thing, that makes a lot of sense that he's the guy. But I just can't help. I can't help, how many jobs could be affected. You gotta figure probably what, 20-25% of that existing workforce may not be needed. They'll be placed elsewhere in other spots, if that's applicable. I don't know how that all works, if that's something they do, or they just give you your walking papers like, sorry, we don't produce Lincoln cents anymore, which comprises maybe about 40% of the entire, the entire being of why, of what's produced and why the mints exist. So, another thing that for you guys to consider, which is also equally crazy, the production of Lincoln cent at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint, we're just going to kind of isolate the Denver Mint because for the most part, if you look at what they produce, they don't produce generally, they don't produce, like specialized collector coins and stuff that you can order from the Mint. What was the last one? Probably the 2021 Morgan dollar with the Denver Mint mark on the back. I don't know. There might be a few others. But outside of standard circulating coinage, I don't think they really produce anything else. Well, come to make matters worse, there's some talk about possibly, I can't even imagine it in the most realistic of worlds where they would need to close down the Denver Mint facility and then do all the production through the Philadelphia and San Francisco Mint. It seems kind of far-fetched, even though that the production of the Lincoln cent at the Denver Mint winds up being about 60% of what they do there, which it's a rather big facility. I'm trying to get my wife to do a tour. We were supposed to do a tour last year before the unfortunate mishap with her leg, because we were on our way to the ANA show in Colorado Springs. We were going to go to the Mint with some friends. Apparently it's a first come first serve. You just have to show up, and if you're there and all that, then they'll let you do the tour. But what kind of ramifications is this gonna have for the Denver Mint? I don't think they're going to close, but boy, man, that's really it's going to obliterate whatever kind of activity and all that stuff is going on there. I don't know. I mean, we're just kind of throwing what ifs and speculative talk because this is all stuff. I didn't just come up with this in my brain. This is all stuff that other people had talked about. This is stuff that's come from news outlets. There's a couple news outlets in Denver, Colorado talking about the ramifications of the discontinuation of the Lincoln cent for the Denver Mint. Do they see closing the Denver Mint a possibility? So, there's that. And the next topic of conversation that people are kind of throwing out there is the nickel. I don't think the nickel is that nearly as big a jeopardy as the Lincoln cent, because it's a higher face value denomination. Sure, I mean, it costs more to make them than it does to have them, but just the talk of no more pennies in circulation, people are thinking, well, that's going to make all the products raise up in price because we have to round up to this or that or the other. I don't think that's how quite how it works out. If we used our examples of our friends up north of the border, where they stopped production of Lincoln cents in 2012, they've managed to do okay. I believe they still have Canadian pennies in circulation. People are still using them because it's still legal tender. I don't know how proactive banks are at capturing the pennies as they come to the tellers, and then they, because very early on, after they decided to axe the coin altogether, the banks were responsible for kind of collecting all of them as they came in. So I don't know how proactive they still are, 13 years later doing that. Pretty wild. And then there's the whole topic of conversation about melting copper. Because, right now, what the price of copper is like $4.60 a pound, It used to be a lot higher than that. I guess before the pandemic, it was like up to like $6 a pound or somewhere around there. So we've seen larger numbers coming from copper, because obviously, they're going to again, we're kind of like playing off the assumption that everything is going to run about as on par of what happened in Canada, that melting will be allowed, but as of right now, people are hoarding coin. I'm right here. I went through a bank box and I separated the copper, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. Now, right there, that's probably barely a pound, but I couldn't help but know that there's people out there that I've personally talked to that have oil drums of these things sitting in their garage that are filled to the brim. Thousands, tens of thousands of pounds, sitting in their barn and all this other stuff. I mean, can you imagine how much all that would be if they allowed melting? Will melting drive the price of copper up? Is another conversation. And because it's largely an industrial metal, I mean, the price is tied to how much of it is being used compared to how much is being extracted from the earth, Of course, if there's like a supply shortage because of, something, I don't know what it could be. It could be, unionized worker, walkouts or something. I don't know. So something to that effect, which, does happen if you're in a union. But man, there's so much stuff going on. I mean, I'm just kind of like going through all the stuff that I'm seeing online, because I was trying to gain an idea of where we're at currently, and there's really nothing, that's being brought up. Not even on the Treasury's website, nothing's being talked about. The Secretary of Treasury, the new one, Scott Bessent, hasn't said anything. Nor and the guy is like a lifelong investor. Like he invests in companies and stocks and all that stuff. He has remained quiet. Like we don't know what that guy's thinking about when it came to that executive order on February 10th, which kind of like shocked the world. The Kansas City Chiefs losing was a shock to the world because they were going for that three-peat. But boy, man, moments after, like, Mr. Besson, we're going to stop the penny. And it's like, oh, where did this come from? The Super Bowl just ended. So it was like one of those weird kind of segues into something else. You know, it's like being on a date with someone. It's like going super well, and then you bring up some weird shit, and it's like, wow, I don't want to be here with you anymore. You know, and it's, I don't know. This whole thing is a huge swerve, and it's so. I'm gonna give you my 100% honest opinion. This whole thing is just uncomfortable. The how ridiculously priced whatever coins are on the secondary market on eBay. I think Son of a Silver Stacker had done a video this morning or yesterday about how copper penny batches from all of these websites are sold out. You know, this whole thing is like uneasy. It feels like I'm obligated to go out there and get more pennies from the bank, but at the same time, I'm like, is this what everybody else is doing? I I don't know. I'm probably about as much in the dark. You guys know me. I report on news here on YouTube when it comes to, you know, to coins and all that stuff. I am about in much of the dark as the general public is. You know, and we're doing this video, but this is all me kind of like wondering, you know, what's kind of like the fallout from all of this, you know, based off of what I'm hearing. I'm like, wow, I didn't quite realize that. I didn't realize that, you know, the Denver Mint could be at jeopardy of closing down. And why would they need to keep that open? They're going to save even more money, you know, by not operating it at all and then just kind of diverting other Denver related, you know, mintages. They won't even be the Denver Mint. You know, it won't be coins with a D mint mark. It'll be San Francisco produced coins because they do a lot of specialized collectibles. So, you know, and here's another thing. Here's another thing that's absolutely crazy. So the workforce is like 1,700 people, right, across all of the different mint facilities. They operate, I think, 65 different mint presses. How many of those 65 mint presses do you think is responsible for doing Lincoln Cent production? How about we go ahead and talk about that? And how much are each of those mint presses? You know, if they have to go and buy another one, you know, what? I'm just going to throw out a number, $10 million. It could be less, could be more, I don't know. What are they going to do with all the mint presses? I don't know. I mean, obviously they're not going to have a use for the other, for all 65. Am I off my rocker here? I don't know. I'm just, yeah, it's all crazy. Like, you know, this whole thing is crazy. It's uneasy. It's, you know, yeah, sure. There are me. I'm in coins. I'm a lifelong coin fanatic. So this is kind of like my lifeblood. So that's why I'm talking a lot about it. But there's going to be some of you are going to say, well, there are a lot more important things to worry about. You know, there is. I mean, I'm not gonna josh you guys on that. I'm like, I'm worried more about my family and should be, and my health and all that stuff. Those things I genuinely should have much more worry than I do about, you know, what's going on with this whole Lincoln Cent bit. I see it with kind of like clearer optics than I do what happened in Canada, because, you know, even though they did stop it, it's not like a make all break all type situation, you know. And I'm like, they didn't produce that many Canadian pennies to where it's going to be that big of an impact, you know. But this is the U.S., baby. I mean, you know, all our coins are American made. You know, as much as you want to, you know, say otherwise about how crappy some of the compositions are on our coins, I mean, man, these things are American made. And that's kind of like the love obsession that a lot of collectors and people who are very nostalgic to the 1 cent denomination coin that we know is the Abraham Lincoln 1 cent coin. Yeah, that's probably unnecessary to say it in kind of like that. But It's a coin that everybody collects when they first get into the hobby. It's the one coin that, like I had mentioned in a previous video, that you could easily fill up a full album in like no time flat. And it doesn't matter if you're just a casual collector, a diehard collector, or just someone that wanted to implement a little bit of a hobby in their life to make the world go round and round and make them feel better. They'll pick up an album and they'll go ahead and start plugging in dates, because it's fun. It's fun for the family. It's, there's a lot of historical context that kind of is shared in that. So anyways, that's what I want to talk about. Another thing that kind of weighs heavily on my mind, is 2026. There's all of these dreams and all that stuff of seeing a dual date Lincoln cent, like a semi-quincentennial or bicentennial, Lincoln cent with a different design on it. And it's like, we can't even have that, as of right now. That whole idea, that pipe dream, the designs that we've seen, are up in smoke right now, because there's so much uncertainty, and we're all kind of left wondering, is this truly it? Based off of the market activity, people are kind of thinking that that's it, and they're highly prepared to stack up in case of a numismatic Armageddon, which will probably end up affecting the value of any Lincoln cent. It doesn't matter how collectible it is or how much it's not in the future, because again, we're all nostalgic for the coin. I know I am. It's the very first coin I picked up and put in an album, and it's gonna be different. Things are gonna be different if this is truly it. But that's what I want to talk about, and this one kind of like a little bit of a rant. I just wanted to share my feelings on this one. But that's it. I will do a video here after the February numbers are updated, so we could see where we're at and see how it affects the market. Because, if the numbers are going to be staggeringly low and they didn't produce nearly as much as we thought they were going to do for February through the first 10 days, yeah, maybe the $35 2025 rolls might actually be a bargain. I don't know. We'll see. People respond and act in strange ways. This could be another instance of that. So I was gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna get out of here because it's getting way too late, and we all need our beauty rest. So you guys take care. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend if I don't see you guys, and yeah, keep on collecting. See ya.